The massive ship appeared in Earth's sky like a dark mountain floating among the stars. Captain Lisa Martinez stood on the bridge of the defense station orbiting Earth and watched the alien vessel through the main screen. She had never seen anything so big. The ship was longer than 50 city blocks and covered in strange blue lights that pulsed like a heartbeat. Lisa turned to her communications officer. "Any word from them yet?" "Yes, Captain. They are asking to speak with Earth's leaders. They say they come in peace, but their message sounds more like a demand." Lisa nodded. She had been expecting this day for years. Earth's scientists had detected alien signals from deep space for decades. Now they were finally here. But something felt wrong about this visit. The alien ship carried enough weapons to destroy a planet. "Put me through to President Nicole Davis," Lisa said. Within minutes, the president appeared on the screen. Nicole looked tired, but her voice was steady. "Captain Martinez, I assume you're calling about our visitors." "Yes, ma'am. That ship out there could wipe out half our cities. Should we prepare our defenses?" "Not yet. Let's hear what they want first. But stay ready." 2 hours later, a smaller alien ship approached, Earth's main space station. Lisa watched as strange beings stepped out of the craft. The first was tall and elegant with pointed ears and silver hair that seemed to glow. Her skin was pale and perfect like carved marble. She wore robes that shifted colors as she moved. Behind her walked a creature that looked like it was made of living crystal. Her body caught the light and threw rainbows across the walls. Her face was sharp and angular with eyes that glowed like purple stars. She carried herself like a warrior and wore armor that hummed with energy. The elegant being stepped forward and spoke in perfect English. "I am Ambassador Zara Lynn of the Galactic Empire. This is Admiral Kethara of the Imperial Fleet. We come to welcome Earth into our great civilization." Lisa had been chosen to meet them because she spoke several alien languages that Earth's computers had decoded from space signals. But these beings spoke her language perfectly. "Welcome to Earth," Lisa said carefully. "We are honored by your visit. How may we serve you?" Zara Lynn smiled, but her eyes remained cold. "You misunderstand Captain Martinez. We are not here to ask for anything. We are here to inform you of Earth's new status. Your planet and all its people now belong to the Galactic Empire. You will submit to our authority and follow our laws. Your military will be disbanded, and your leaders will report to imperial governors." Lisa felt her blood turn cold. "And if we refuse?" Admiral Kethara stepped forward. Her voice sounded like glass breaking. "Refusal is not an option. 1,000 worlds have joined our empire. Some joined willingly. Others required convincing. Your choice is simple. Submit now, and your people will be treated well. Resist and face the consequences." Lisa looked at both aliens. Zara Lynn seemed genuinely puzzled by any thought of resistance. Kethara looked eager for a fight. "I need to speak with my leaders." "You have 24 hours, Zara Lynn said. "Return with your answer." Lisa returned to her ship and immediately contacted President Davis. The conversation was brief and decisive. 6 hours later, Lisa stood before the aliens again. This time, she was not alone. Behind her stood representatives from every nation on Earth. Dr. Amy Foster, the xenobiologist, was there to record everything. General Kate Sullivan represented Earth's military forces. "Ambassador Zara Lynn," Lisa began, "we have discussed your offer with our people." "Excellent. I assume you have prepared the surrender documents?" "Actually, no. Earth's answer is this. We respectfully decline your invitation to join your empire. Furthermore, we are implementing an immediate border closure. No Imperial vessels are permitted in the Sol system. You have 12 hours to leave." The silence that followed was deafening. Zara Lynn's mouth fell open. Admiral Kethara's crystal body began to glow brighter with what looked like anger. "You cannot be serious," Zara Lynn said. "You are one small planet. We command a fleet of 10,000 ships. You have perhaps 100 vessels, and most of them are cargo haulers." General Sullivan stepped forward. "Our decision is final. Please leave our system." Kethara laughed. The sound was like breaking ice. Primitive fools. You think your little ships can stop the Imperial fleet. We will return with a proper force, and you will learn the price of defying the Empire. That is your choice, Lisa said. But understand, this. If you return with hostile intent, you will not be permitted to enter our system. And how exactly will you stop us? Cathara demanded. Dr. Amy Foster smiled for the first time since the meeting began. You'll see. As the alien ship departed Earth's atmosphere, something strange began to happen. A shimmer appeared at the edge of the solar system, like heat waves rising from hot pavement. The shimmer grew stronger and brighter until it formed a wall of energy that surrounded the entire solar system. Aboard their ship, Zaralyn and Cathara watched their sensors in disbelief. What is that? Cathara demanded. Some kind of energy barrier, the ship's science officer reported. It extends in all directions around their star system. I have never seen anything like it. Zaralyn stared at the barrier. How is this possible? Our intelligence report said they were a primitive species. They barely have faster-than-light travel. Perhaps our intelligence was wrong? Cathara said. Her voice was thoughtful now instead of angry. These humans may be more than they appear. Contact the fleet. Zaralyn ordered. Tell them we have a situation here that requires immediate attention. Back on Earth, President Davis watched the barrier form through her office window. The energy field was invisible from the ground, but she knew it was there. She turned to Dr. Foster, who had returned from the meeting. How long can we maintain it? As long as we need to, Amy replied. The system draws power from the sun itself. It's more than defensive, Amy. When the time is right, it can do much more. Nicole nodded. Then we wait. Let them bring their fleet. Let them try to break through. They're about to learn that Earth is not as helpless as they think. Above them, the barrier hummed with power that had been hidden for generations. Earth had closed its borders, and the galaxy was about to discover that humanity had been keeping secrets for a very long time. 3 weeks after Earth closed its borders, the Imperial fleet arrived. Commander Velthara stood on the bridge of her warship and stared at the energy barrier that surrounded the human star system. She had fought in dozens of campaigns across the galaxy, but had never seen anything like this wall of light. Analysis report, she demanded from her science team. The barrier extends completely around their system, Commander. It appears to be some form of quantum energy field. Our weapons cannot penetrate it. Velthara was a proud warrior from a species that looked like walking reptiles with silver scales. She had conquered 7 worlds for the Empire and never met a defense she could not break. This human barrier was insulting. Prepare the siege cannons. Full power. Lady Silandra watched from the observation deck as the fleet opened fire. She was an elegant elf like Ambassador Zaralyn, but younger and more curious about other cultures. She had come to document what the Empire called a primitive rebellion. Instead, she was watching something impossible. The siege cannons fired beams of pure energy that could melt mountains. The beams struck the barrier and simply disappeared like raindrops hitting an ocean. The barrier did not even flicker. Interesting, Silandra said to herself. She made notes on her recording device. The humans appear to have technology we do not understand. For 6 hours, the fleet bombarded the barrier with every weapon they had. Plasma cannons, fusion missiles, gravity bombs, quantum disruptors. Nothing worked. The barrier absorbed everything and remained perfectly intact. Inside the solar system, General Kate Sullivan watched the attack from Earth's command center. She was a tough woman who had spent her life preparing for this moment. Around her, dozens of technicians monitored the barrier's performance. How are we holding up? Kate asked Dr. Maya Chen, who designed the barrier technology. Perfectly, General. Their weapons are actually making the barrier stronger. Every attack feeds more energy into the system, Kate smiled. Good. Let them waste their ammunition. Dr. Maya Chen was a brilliant physicist who looked younger than her 40 years. She had spent decades working on theories that seemed impossible until they proved to work perfectly. The barrier was based on principles that the Empire's scientists had never discovered, General Maya said. I'm reading some interesting energy signatures from their fleet. I think some of their ships are beginning to malfunction. What do you mean? The barrier is not just defensive, it's also scanning every ship that approaches. We're learning everything about their technology while they learn nothing about ours. On the Imperial flagship, Admiral Cathara was growing frustrated. She had brought enough firepower to conquer 50 worlds, but could not scratch this human barrier. Worse, the fleet was experiencing technical problems. "Commander Velthara, report to the flagship immediately," she ordered. When Velthara arrived, Cathara was studying tactical displays that showed no progress. "Your bombardment has failed, Commander. Do you have any other suggestions? Perhaps we could try a different approach, Admiral. Our intelligence about these humans was clearly wrong. Maybe we should attempt communication again." "Communication!" Cathara's crystal body flared with angry light. "They defied the Empire. They will submit or be destroyed. With respect, Admiral, destroying them may not be possible. That barrier technology is beyond anything in our databases." Cathara stared at the barrier. She was beginning to suspect that this campaign would not go as planned. Inside the barrier, Earth was far from idle. President Nicole Davis held daily meetings with military leaders from around the world. The planet had been preparing for this confrontation longer than anyone realized. "Status report," Nicole asked General Sullivan. "The barrier is holding perfectly. The Imperial fleet has tried everything they have and cannot get through. Our deep space sensors show more ships arriving every day, but none of them can enter our system." Dr. Amy Foster raised her hand. "Ma'am, I've been monitoring their communications. They're frustrated and confused. Some of their junior officers are beginning to question why they're attacking peaceful humans." "Good. The longer this siege continues, the more time their people have to think about what they're doing." What the Empire did not know was that Earth had been watching them for over a century. Human scientists had been intercepting Imperial communications and studying their technology for generations. Earth knew everything about the Empire while remaining completely hidden. Commander Velthara was having similar thoughts aboard her ship. She had reviewed all available data about humans and found very little useful information. They were supposed to be a young species with basic technology. Yet here they were defying the mightiest fleet in the galaxy. "Science Officer Zenara," she called to her research specialist. "What have you learned about this barrier?" Zenara was a curious alien with blue skin and large black eyes. She loved solving puzzles, and the human barrier was the biggest puzzle she had ever encountered. "Commander, this technology operates on principles I have never seen before. They are manipulating space and time itself. That's impossible. Only the most advanced civilizations in the galaxy core have that knowledge." "That's what I thought too, Commander, but the evidence is clear. These humans have somehow developed quantum physics far beyond our understanding," Lady Silandra was recording everything from her observation post. As a cultural historian, she was fascinated by what she was seeing. "The humans are not fighting us," she noted. "They are simply refusing to let us in. There is something almost civilized about their defiance." She had studied dozens of conquered worlds. Most species either surrendered immediately or fought desperately until they were destroyed. The humans were doing neither. They had simply said no and made it impossible for the Empire to ignore their refusal. 2 months into the siege, strange things began happening in the Imperial fleet. Ships started having power fluctuations. Computer systems developed mysterious glitches. Some vessels reported their weapons systems refusing to target the human barrier. Dr. Maya Chen smiled as she read the reports. "It's working perfectly," she told General Sullivan. "The barrier is not just keeping them out, it's slowly affecting their technology." "How?" "Every ship that comes near the barrier gets scanned down to the molecular level. We're introducing subtle changes to their systems. Nothing harmful, just small modifications that will make their ships less aggressive. You're reprogramming their fleet." "In a way, yes. Think of it as a peaceful upgrade." Commander Velthara was among the first to notice the changes. Her weapons officer reported that targeting systems were becoming less accurate. Her engineers said the ship's computers were running new programs that no one had installed. "This is sabotage," she told Admiral Cathara during their daily briefing. "Impossible. Our ships are protected by the best security in the galaxy. Then explain why half our fleet is experiencing technical difficulties. Explain why some of our captains are reporting strange dreams about peaceful coexistence with humans." Cathara's crystal face darkened. "Dreams. Yes, Admiral. Dreams about working with humans instead of conquering them. Dreams about learning from each other instead of destroying each other." For the first time since arriving at Earth, Admiral Cathara felt uncertain. She had conquered worlds across the galaxy but had never encountered anything like this. The humans were not just defending themselves. They were somehow changing the hearts and minds of her own people. "Contact the High Command," she ordered. "Tell them we need reinforcements and new strategies. These humans are more dangerous than we thought." But as her message traveled across the galaxy toward the Empire's capital, something strange happened to it. The barrier around Earth reached out with invisible fingers and touched the communication beam. The message that arrived at High Command was subtly different from the one Cathara had sent. Instead of requesting more weapons, the message asked for diplomats and scientists. Instead of reporting human aggression, it described a fascinating new civilization that might have valuable knowledge to share. Earth had been preparing for this war for over 100 years. But the war they were fighting was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. It was a war of ideas and dreams and possibilities, and slowly but surely humanity was winning. Captain Lysaneth stood at the viewport of her patrol ship and watched another group of refugee vessels approaching the human barrier. The ships were old and damaged, carrying families from worlds that had tried to resist the Empire. They had heard about Earth's successful defiance and came seeking protection. Lysaneth was young for an Imperial officer with the typical elvish features of pointed ears and pale skin. But unlike many of her people, she had begun to question the Empire's methods. The siege of Earth had been going on for 4 months, and nothing was going as planned. "Captain," her communications officer called. "The refugee ships are requesting permission to pass through the human barrier." "Denied," came the order from Admiral Cathara's flagship. "No vessels may approach the barrier. Destroy them if they do not turn back." Lysaneth felt sick. These were not warriors or rebels. They were families with children running from Imperial oppression. "Repeat that order," she said, hoping she had. "Misunderstood. All ships are ordered to fire on any vessel that approaches the human barrier." Lysaneth stared at the refugee fleet. She could see small faces pressed against windows in the passenger ships. Children who just wanted to be safe. "Communications officer, record this. I am refusing the order to fire on civilian vessels." Her crew looked shocked. Refusing orders was unthinkable in the Imperial military. But Lysaneth had seen too much during this siege. She had watched the Empire's pride slowly crumble against human determination. "Captain, the Admiral is demanding an explanation. Tell the Admiral that I will not fire on children." Inside the human barrier, President Nicole Davis was watching the same scene through Earth's long-range sensors. She turned to Colonel Beth Richardson, who commanded Earth's Special Forces. "Colonel, we have refugees approaching the barrier. Can we help them?" Beth was a tough soldier with gray hair and scars from training accidents. She had been preparing for alien contact her entire career. "Ma'am, our barrier can create small openings to allow ships through. But if we do that, the Empire will see it as an act of war." "Colonel, we are already at war. The Empire just doesn't realize they're losing." Nicole gave the order, and a section of the barrier flickered open just long enough for the refugee ships to pass through. As soon as they were inside, the barrier sealed itself again. The refugees found themselves in the safety of Earth's solar system for the first time in months. Admiral Cathara watched in fury as the humans somehow opened their supposedly impenetrable barrier. "How did they do that?" she demanded. Science officer Zenara studied her instruments with growing excitement. "Admiral, the barrier is not a simple energy field. It's some kind of living technology that responds to conscious thought. The humans can control it precisely." "Living technology," Cathara repeated. "That's impossible. Many things about these humans seem impossible, Admiral. Perhaps we need to reconsider our assumptions about them aboard her ship." Captain Lysaneth made a decision. That would change her life forever. She opened a communication channel to Earth. "Human vessels. This is Captain Lysaneth of the Imperial Navy. I wish to speak with your leaders." The response came quickly. "Captain, this is General Kate Sullivan of Earth Defense. We're listening." "General, I want you to know that not all Imperial officers support this siege. Some of us believe there must be a better way to resolve this conflict." Kate smiled as she heard the words. Earth's strategy was working. The siege was causing cracks in Imperial unity. "Captain, you and any others who share your views are welcome to join the refugees inside our barrier. I cannot abandon my crew, General, but I wanted you to know that the Empire is not as united as it appears." That night, President Nicole Davis made a decision that shocked the galaxy. She broadcast a message on all Imperial communication frequencies. The signal was so powerful that every ship in the Imperial fleet received it clearly. "People of the Galactic Empire," Nicole began. "I am President Nicole Davis of Earth. For 4 months, your military has besieged our world because we refuse to surrender our freedom. During this time, we have learned much about your civilization." The broadcast continued with evidence that Earth had been gathering for decades. Nicole showed proof of Imperial atrocities on conquered worlds. She revealed how the Empire suppressed information about peaceful species and destroyed civilizations that refused to submit. "We do not seek war with your people," Nicole said. "But we will not allow you to conquer us as you have conquered so many others. We offer an alternative. Any who seek freedom are welcome here." The broadcast reached every corner of the Imperial fleet. Soldiers who had never questioned their orders suddenly saw evidence of their empire's crimes. Officers who had believed they were spreading civilization learned they were actually spreading oppression. Science officer Zenara was among those most affected by the broadcast. She had always believed the Empire brought peace and order to primitive worlds. Now she learned that many of those worlds had been peaceful before the Empire arrived. "Commander Velthara," she said, "may I speak privately with you?" When they were alone, Zenara asked the question that was troubling her. "Commander, is it possible that we are not the heroes in this story?" Velthara had been thinking the same thing. "I don't know, Zenara. I have served the Empire my entire life. But this siege has shown me things I never wanted to see." "The humans could have destroyed our fleet weeks ago," Zenara said. "Their technology is clearly superior to ours. Yet they haven't fired a single shot at us. They're just keeping us out." "What are you suggesting? Maybe they really are trying to defend themselves. Maybe we are the aggressors here." Lady Silandra was having similar thoughts. As a cultural historian, she understood the importance of what was happening. The humans were not just defending their world. They were exposing the Empire's lies and offering an alternative to conquered peoples. Her daily reports to the Imperial High Command had gradually changed from documenting a primitive rebellion to recording the slow transformation of Imperial thinking. She was no longer sure which side she wanted to win. On Earth, Dr. Amy Foster was monitoring communications throughout the Imperial fleet. What she found amazed her. "President Davis," she reported, "we're seeing massive changes in Imperial morale. Dozens of ships are reporting crew members requesting transfers. Some vessels have stopped participating in the siege entirely. How many refugees do we have now? Over 50,000 and more arriving daily. They're not just running from the Empire. They're running toward us because they believe we represent something better." President Davis nodded. Earth's strategy had always been about more than just defense. They were showing the galaxy that there was an alternative to Imperial rule. They were proving that freedom could defeat tyranny without violence. But the most important change was happening aboard Admiral Kethara's flagship. The crystal-bodied warrior who had arrived at Earth full of Imperial pride was slowly beginning to doubt everything she had believed. "Science officer report," she ordered during the daily briefing. "Admiral, our technical problems are getting worse. Half our weapon systems are completely inoperative. Our computers are running programs we didn't install. And our crew is reporting strange dreams about cooperation with humans." Dreams again. "Yes, Admiral. But these dreams feel more like memories, as if we once knew how to live in peace with other species, and somehow forgot." Kethara stared at the human barrier that had defied her for 4 months. "Perhaps," she said quietly, "we did forget." That night, Kethara made a communication to Earth that no one in the Empire expected. "Human leadership, this is Admiral Kethara. I request permission to speak with President Davis." The response came from President Davis herself. "Admiral, this is Nicole Davis. I'm listening." President Davis, "Want to understand what you are doing to us. Our ships are malfunctioning. Our crew is having strange experiences. What is your purpose?" Nicole's voice was calm and patient. "Admiral, we are not doing anything to you. We are simply showing you possibilities you had forgotten existed. Your ships are not malfunctioning. They are remembering how to build instead of destroy." "I don't understand. Admiral, your people once knew how to explore the galaxy in peace. You once helped other species grow instead of conquering them. We are simply reminding you of who you used to be. Kethara felt something she had never experienced before. A memory that seemed to come from outside her own mind. A vision of her. People working alongside humans to build magnificent cities among the stars. Those memories, she whispered. Are they real? Ask yourself, Admiral. Do they feel real? They did feel real. More real than anything Kethara had experienced in her military career. For the first time in her life, she began to wonder if the Empire had lost its way completely. Admiral Rachel Stone stood in the ancient chamber deep beneath Earth's surface. The walls were covered with symbols that seemed to glow with their own inner light. She was humanity's most senior military officer and one of the few people who knew Earth's greatest secret. Dr. Tess Morgan, are you ready? Rachel asked the archaeologist who stood beside her. Tess was a small woman with graying hair and eyes that sparkled with intelligence. She had spent her entire career studying the artifacts hidden in this chamber. As ready as anyone can be to change the galaxy's understanding of history, above them the siege continued. For 6 months, the Imperial fleet had remained outside Earth's barrier, growing more confused and divided each day. The time had come to reveal why humanity had been hiding for so long. Rachel activated the chamber's communication system. The message would reach every ship in the Imperial fleet and travel across the galaxy to billions of worlds. People of the galaxy, she began. I am Admiral Rachel Stone of Earth. Today we share with you the truth about your origins. Dr. Tess stepped forward, carrying an artifact that looked like a crystal sphere filled with swirling light. This device contains the complete historical record of galactic civilization. What you are about to learn will change everything you believe about yourselves and your empire. The sphere began to glow brighter, and images appeared in the air above. The images showed scenes from millions of years ago, when the galaxy was young and empty of intelligent life. Long ago, Tess said, there was only one species exploring the stars, humanity. We traveled from world to world not to conquer, but to plant the seeds of life and intelligence. The images showed ancient humans visiting barren planets. They released genetic patterns into the atmosphere of dead worlds. Over millions of years, those patterns grew into the diverse species that now filled the galaxy. Princess Ael Indra watched from the Imperial flagship in stunned silence. She was the highest-ranking elf in the fleet and had always believed her people were among the galaxy's oldest civilizations. This cannot be true, she whispered. But the evidence was overwhelming. The images showed how humans had carefully designed each species for their specific worlds. Elves were created for worlds with gentle climates where intelligence and beauty could flourish. The crystal beings, like Admiral Kethara, were designed for harsh worlds where strength and endurance were needed. Your empire teaches that humans are a young primitive species, Dr. Tess continued. The truth is that humans are your ancestors. Every intelligent species in the galaxy carries human genetic patterns. You are all our children. Admiral Kethara felt her crystal body trembling. The strange memories that had been troubling her suddenly made sense. They were not memories of her own people's past. They were inherited memories from humanity's ancient civilization. But why? Princess Ael Indra asked over the communication channel. Why did humans create us, Admiral Rachel? Stone answered her question. Because humans believed the galaxy should be filled with diversity and wonder. Each species was designed to contribute something unique to galactic civilization. You were meant to be partners, not subjects. The historical record continued showing how humanity's great civilization had eventually collapsed due to a cosmic catastrophe. Most humans had died, but a few survived on Earth. The younger species scattered across the galaxy had forgotten their origins and eventually formed the Empire. Science Officer Zen Ara was recording everything with growing excitement. Commander, Velthara. This explains the humans' advanced technology. They are not developing new science. They are remembering old science. Commander Velthara nodded slowly. The siege had never made sense to her. Now she understood why. The Empire had been trying to conquer its own creators. The barrier around our solar system, Rachel continued, is not just a defensive measure. It is a memory awakening device. Every species that comes near it begins to remember their true origins. You are experiencing memories from your genetic ancestors. Lady Salandra understood now why the Imperial fleet had been having technical problems and strange dreams. The barrier was helping them remember what they had been created to be. Builders instead of destroyers. Explorers instead of conquerors. Dr. Tess activated another artifact. This device contains the original plans for galactic civilization, humans, intended for all species to work together exploring the universe and helping new life develop. The Empire perverted that vision into conquest and oppression. President Nicole Davis joined the broadcast from Earth's surface. We do not share this information to claim authority over you. We share it because the galaxy has lost its way. The Empire you serve has become everything humanity hoped to prevent. The response from the Imperial fleet was immediate and chaotic. Some ships began broadcasting messages of apology to Earth. Others demanded more proof. A few tried to retreat but found their navigation systems no longer responded to commands that would take them away from Earth. Princess Ael Indra felt tears on her face as she watched the historical records. Her people had been created to preserve knowledge and beauty. Instead, they had become administrators of an oppressive empire. "What can we do to make this right?" she asked. "The choice is yours," Nicole replied. "You can continue serving an empire. That denies your true nature. Or you can remember why you were created and help us rebuild the civilization that was lost." Admiral Keth-Ara made her decision first. "I formally surrender my fleet to Earth Authority. We have been wrong about everything." Her announcement sent shockwaves through the Imperial chain of command. Other admirals began demanding explanations. The Empire's high command ordered all ships to retreat immediately. But something strange was happening throughout the galaxy. The historical broadcast had reached every Imperial world. On planet after planet, conquered species were learning that they were not primitive beings lifted up by Imperial civilization. They were the descendants of humanity's great experiment. In creating galactic diversity, Commander Velthara opened a channel to her crew. "All personnel, this is your commander. What we have learned today changes everything. I am formally defecting from the Imperial military and requesting asylum with Earth forces." One by one, other ships followed her example. The Imperial siege fleet that had arrived to crush human defiance was slowly transforming into humanity's first allies. Science officer Zenara was among the first to volunteer for a new mission. "Admiral Stone," she called to Earth, "my people were designed to be scientists and explorers. We would like to help you rebuild the old civilization." "You are welcome here," Rachel replied. "All of you are welcome." Lady Salandra was documenting everything for what she now realized would be the most important historical record ever created. The end of the Empire and the beginning of something new. But not everyone in the fleet accepted the truth. Some officers remained loyal to the Empire and refused to believe the evidence. They formed a smaller group of ships and prepared to return to Imperial space to report what had happened. Princess Aelindra watched them go with sadness. "They will tell the High Command everything. The Empire will send larger fleets to destroy Earth. Let them come," Admiral Rachel Stone said calmly. "Earth has been preparing for this confrontation for thousands of years. We are ready." Dr. Tess Morgan smiled as she looked at the growing fleet of defecting Imperial ships. "Admiral, I think we may not need to fight the Empire. I think the Empire is about to tear itself apart." She was right. Across the galaxy, the historical broadcast was causing chaos on Imperial worlds. Conquered species were rising in rebellion. Imperial officers were defecting by the thousands. The revelation that humans were the galaxy's parent species was destroying the Empire's claim to legitimate authority. The siege of Earth had lasted 6 months. It ended not with the defeat of human defiance, but with the awakening of galactic memory. The Empire had come to conquer a primitive world and instead discovered that they were trying to destroy their own creators. As the defecting ships passed through Earth's barrier for the first time, their crews experienced something wonderful. The strange dreams and half-remembered visions became clear memories of what the galaxy had once been and could be again. Admiral Keth-Ara stood on Earth's surface for the first time and felt something she had never experienced. She felt like she was coming home. Fleet Admiral Sarah Mitchell stood on the bridge of humanity's flagship, watching the largest gathering of ships in galactic history. Representatives from over 1,000 worlds had come to Earth's solar system for the founding of the new Galactic Federation. The Imperial siege that had begun 8 months ago had become a celebration of freedom. "Admiral," her communications officer reported, "we're receiving the final surrender from the Imperial core worlds." Sarah nodded. The Galactic Empire that had ruled for centuries was officially ending today. In its place would rise something the galaxy had not seen since humanity's ancient civilization. A true democracy where all species worked together as equals. Empress Zaralyn stood beside Sarah on the bridge. The former Imperial ambassador had led the revolution that brought down the Empire from within. Her elegant elven features showed the strain of months of political warfare, but her eyes sparkled with hope. "Sarah, I never imagined this day would come," Zaralyn said. "When I first arrived at Earth, I thought I was dealing with primitive rebels. I never suspected I was meeting our creators." "You're not rebels anymore," Sarah replied with a smile. "You're free people choosing your own destiny." The transformation of Zaralyn from Imperial ambassador to revolutionary leader had been one of the most remarkable changes of the past months. When the truth about humanity's role in galactic history had been revealed, she had immediately seen the implications. The Empire's authority was built on lies. General Cathara approached from the other side of the bridge. The former Imperial Admiral now commanded the Federation's peacekeeping forces. Her crystal body still caught and reflected light, but now it seemed to glow with inner peace instead of warrior fury. "Empress, the last holdout worlds have agreed to join the Federation," Cathara reported. "The transition is complete." "Any resistance?" Sarah asked. "Minimal, Admiral." Most Imperial worlds welcomed the change. The only serious opposition came from the military command structure, and that collapsed once the truth spread. Ambassador Linda Hayes joined the group on the bridge. She was Earth's new diplomatic representative and had been working non-stop to organize the transition from Empire to Federation. "Ladies, the opening ceremony is ready to begin." Sarah activated the ship's communication system. Her voice would reach every world in the galaxy. "Citizens of the Galactic Federation, today we begin a new chapter in our shared history. Today we return to the dream that humanity planted among the stars millions of years ago." On Earth, President Nicole Davis was addressing the representatives gathered in Geneva. Leaders from every species sat together in the assembly hall that would serve as the Federation's temporary capital until a permanent location could be established. "My fellow beings," Nicole began, "we gather not as conquerors and conquered, but as family members reunited after a long separation. Humanity does not seek to rule you. We seek to learn from you and with you." Captain Lysaneth was among the representatives. The young elven officer who had refused to fire on refugees during the siege had become a symbol of moral courage. She now commanded the Federation's humanitarian fleet, helping displaced populations resettle on free worlds. President Davis, Lysaneth, said when called upon to speak, "Many of us spent our lives serving an empire we thought brought order to chaos. We now understand that the empire created chaos where order once existed. How do we rebuild what was lost?" Science Officer Zanara answered from her seat in the scientific delegation. "Captain, we begin by remembering why each species was created. Elves were designed to preserve knowledge and beauty. My people were meant to explore and discover. The crystal beings were intended to provide strength and protection. When we fulfill our true purposes instead of serving imperial ambitions, we can rebuild the galaxy as it was meant to be." Lady Salandra had become the Federation's chief historian. She stood to address the assembly. "I have spent months studying the records humanity preserved. The original galactic civilization lasted for millions of years without a single war between species. They achieved this through cooperation and mutual respect. We can do the same. But the transition was not without challenges. Princess Ael Indra represented a group of worlds that had been so damaged by imperial rule that they struggled to believe in the possibility of freedom. President Davis, Ael Indra said, "My people have lived under oppression for so long that many fear this federation is just another form of control. How do we convince them that this time is different?" Dr. Amy Foster stepped forward. As Earth's Xenobiologist, she had become an expert on helping different species work together. Princess, the answer is simple. We prove it through our actions. The Federation will have no emperor, no supreme ruler, no central authority that can oppress anyone. Every world will govern itself according to its own nature. But what about coordination? Asked Commander Velthera, who now served as the Federation's military advisor. How do we make decisions that affect multiple worlds? Fleet Admiral Sarah Mitchell answered from the video link to her flagship. Commander, we use the system humanity originally designed. Each species contributes what it does best. Elves handle cultural preservation and education. Scientists like Zenara's people focus on research and exploration. Crystal beings provide security and protection. Humans coordinate and facilitate but do not rule. The debate continued for hours as representatives worked out the details of their new government. It was messy and complicated and sometimes heated, but it was also free. For the first time in centuries, beings from across the galaxy were making decisions for themselves instead of following imperial commands. Dr. Tess Morgan watched from the historical archives where she was documenting everything. The archaeologist who had revealed humanity's secret was now recording the birth of the new civilization. This is how democracy is supposed to work, she noted, loud and chaotic and beautiful. As the assembly session ended, President Nicole Davis made a final announcement. The Federation will face many challenges in the years ahead. Some former imperial worlds may try to restore the old system. Others may struggle with the responsibilities of freedom. But we face these challenges together as equals, Empress Zara Lynn added her own thoughts. The Empire taught us to fear and conquer other species. The Federation will teach us to trust and cooperate with them. This change will not happen overnight, but it will happen. High above Earth Fleet, Admiral Sarah Mitchell was receiving reports from across the galaxy. Former imperial worlds were celebrating their freedom. Trade routes that had been controlled by imperial bureaucrats were opening to all species. Scientific expeditions were being organized to explore regions the Empire had declared forbidden. Admiral, her science officer reported, "We're receiving a message from the Galactic Core. It's from a group calling themselves the Deep Space Explorers." Put them through. The message came from Captain Maria Santos, a human officer who had been leading secret exploration missions beyond the galaxy's edge. "Admiral, this is Santos. We've discovered something incredible out here. Ruins of the original human civilization. And they're not empty." Sarah felt her heart skip a beat. "Explain, Captain." "Admiral, we've found automated systems still functioning after millions of years. They've been maintaining themselves and waiting for someone to return. I think humanity's ancient civilization left us more than just historical records. I think they left us instructions for the future." The news spread quickly through the Federation fleet. Humanity's ancestors had not just created the younger species and then disappeared. They had prepared for this day when their children would reunite and reclaim their heritage. Dr. Tess Morgan was beside herself with excitement. "Admiral, we need to organize expeditions immediately. If the ancient sites are still active, they might contain technology and knowledge that could help us rebuild even faster." Agreed, Dr. Morgan. "Captain Santos, continue your exploration and report everything you find." As the first day of the Galactic Federation ended, beings across the galaxy looked up at the stars with new hope. The empire that had ruled through fear and oppression was gone. In its place was rising a civilization based on the principles humanity had dreamed of millions of years ago. Ambassador Linda Hayes sent a final message to all Federation worlds. "Citizens, today we took the first steps toward reclaiming our true destiny. Tomorrow we continue the journey. Together we will explore the universe as partners and friends. Together we will become what we were always meant to be, on Earth." President. Nicole Davis walked outside and looked up at the barrier that still surrounded the solar system. Soon, it would be lowered as Earth rejoined the galactic community. But it had served its purpose. It had protected humanity long enough for the galaxy to remember its origins. "Computer," she said to Earth's artificial intelligence, "lower the barrier. It's time to go home." As the energy field that had protected Earth for 8 months finally disappeared, the stars seemed brighter than they had ever been before. The galaxy was free, and the long journey back to its original purpose could finally begin. Humanity had closed its borders to an empire and opened them to a family. The experiment in galactic civilization that had begun millions of years ago was starting again, and this time they would not let it fail.